I will introduce myself. I'm Sarah Smith, and I am the Childminder partner for the Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire Stronger Practice Hub. So I am here to support childminders in that area. I've been a childminder for 24 years now, and prior to that I was a primary school teacher, so I've got lots of early years experience, and I currently childmind in Buxton just three days a week with early years children. I have to give a little apology. I've been a bit rough over the week, so I have been coughing, so I've got a trusty glass of water next to me just in case. Okay, so this is what we're hoping to achieve tonight. What are the principles of the early years, the EEF that link to Christmas learning? Link Christmas play and learning to the EYFS areas. Give you some low-cost, experience-based ideas to make learning magical. Balance the excitement and the routine over Christmas. And then obviously share good practice and ideas. You've all got fantastic ideas and good practice, so it'd be really nice to share some of that. And I want to add a disclaimer. This webinar isn't intended to be a criticism of anyone's practice. We all do things differently. And I'm coming to this from the perspective of evidence-based research. I love Christmas, but I think we can all agree that Christmas can be a bit stressful and that we often try to cram too much in. If it's stressful for us, then it's going to be stressful and overstimulating for the children. So, what does the EYFS say? It doesn't actually say anything specific about festivals, but it does say that we need to support children's understanding of cultural and religious differences. And the EYFS places a strong emphasis on meeting the children's individual needs. And we do this all year round, but we often fall back on adult-led activities at Christmas. And we know that offering children opportunities for creative self-expression supports their critical thinking. Ownership and agency over the creation for the children supports confidence in their own decision-making skills. And process over product supports self-regulation and executive function and their development. And we'll come on to process and product a little bit later. And by offering the children child-led opportunities to be creative, we're working with the characteristics of effective learning. So Development Matters says that we should value cultural, religious and community events and experiences. And the DfE in 2023 said that practitioners should make time to connect with children and to listen and respond. And that's something we aim to do all the time. Welcome to everybody who's just joined us. So process versus product. It's very easy to think we must get that card out. I know I'm already thinking it as it's December the 1st already. We must get a present for the parents, etc. But what does a child learn from a craft like this? I must admit that in the past I have been guilty of churning out children's crafts that all look the same. But there's so much evidence now that children's learning and development should be led by them and supported by us. How would it make you feel if you were doing something creative and somebody came along, tapped you on the shoulder, or didn't even do that and just changed it and said, no, that bit goes here? I do, on the other hand, think that there is a place for the occasional keepsake where the children might be learning a technique or to follow instructions. But we need to keep the majority of our activities open-ended and process rather than product-based. So going back to the EEF principles, the Education Endowment Fund's Evidence Store has been developed to support the work of Stronger Practice Hubs, but it's available for everyone to support their practice. So if you want to find it, if you haven't already seen it, then just try Googling the EEF or Education Endowment Foundation, or there is the link there at the top of the screen, and that will be coming out on slides. It includes 6 key themes for young children's learning and development, And it's a living resource, so that means it's continually updated with additional evidence, written examples and videos of practice that support children's learning and development. The Early Years Evidence Store is a summary of evidence-informed approaches to help educators to understand and reflect on their practice. And the approaches are illustrated with practices that typically make up the approach and a range of examples of what these might look like in practice. To be honest, I don't find it the most easy website to use, but I have recently discovered there is a guide of how to use it. So if you go to that first, then it will help you to use it. So these are the EEF principles that I think are most relevant to what we might be doing with our Christmas activities. They obviously aren't just relevant to Christmas, but they can be used all year round when we're doing similar activities. So the first, teaching and modelling language, involves intentionally using language to show how words are used together to form sentences and provide opportunities for children to apply it to their own speech. Next, we've got teaching through collaborative talk. We all use a range of strategies to facilitate collaborative talk in our settings. For example, you might encourage children to share their ideas, to listen to each other, and build on each other's ideas during group discussions. And problem solving can also be used as a context for promoting collaborative talk. Teaching the skills needed for mark making and letter formation. Gross motor skills are the building blocks for fine motor skills, and they're needed for mark making and letter formation. So we can provide these skills by helping the children to develop their pencil grip, their finger movements, and their hand-eye coordination. For example, providing children with hand tools, stacking toys, threading toys, the use of music and gestures, playing with clay, as well as general arts and crafts. And we know there's lots of arts and crafts that go on over the Christmas period. Teaching the association between number and quality. We can support children to become familiar with and understand numbers and qualities in a number of ways. This includes using objects or pictures to understand that numbers have a value and provide opportunities for quantities to be matched with number words and symbols. For example, through modelling counting sets of objects to them. We can teach the rules of counting, and this includes teaching the child that counting can be used to find out how many are in a collection, because the last number says, they say, tells them how many there are, and that's the cardinal value. And as children become more familiar with quantities, the adult can encourage them to realise how many items there are in a very small group without having to count them, and that's called subitizing. Teaching and modelling how to make comparisons and collections is the last one that I focused on. In this, the adult provides the opportunities for children to make comparisons. They draw the child's attention through conversation about what's the same, what's similar, and what's different. Sometimes this involves mathematical tools such as scales, measuring tapes, and jugs to discuss comparisons, but other times you might not use any of those tools. You might just discuss the similarities and differences. And adults model and encourage children to make connections and spot the patterns. These include comparing sets of objects using words, identifying the odd one out in a set of objects, arranging a set of objects in an order of size or location or their position, using ordinal numbers such as first, second and third, and activities involving block building and weighing scales. So now we get on to hopefully the fun bit, the activity ideas. And there are loads and loads of activities that I could have included. And to be honest, I had to scale it down to a bit because otherwise we would have been here all night. So I've just collected together a few ideas of activities which I feel are open-ended and can be used all year round, but also can particularly be used at Christmas. So Play-Doh is the first one I'm looking to. And these first activities could be done with Play-Doh, so they're temporary, or they could be made with clay or salt dough and baked to keep. And if you want to keep a record of a temporary craft, such as a Play-Doh wreath in the picture, then you could do a photograph of it, and that could be sent to the parents, or it could just be printed out for them. So for the wreath, the children are offered a selection of loose parts such as beads, buttons, small decorations, etc. And then they use them to make their own wreath. There's not going to be any right or wrong. And then you can support them by giving vocabulary such as wreath, bow, holly, colour names, and then the mathematical language such as counting the items or using positional language. You might ask questions such as, where will you put the bow? How many bows would fit into a certain space? With the more permanent crafts, natural items could be used, such as star anise or cardamom pods, or items found outside by the children, like fir leaves or beech nuts. And then spices like ginger or cinnamon, or essences such as peppermint or vanilla, can be added to the dough to make it more of a sensory experience for the children. And that would promote more discussion and involve more discovery, more vocabulary. So the next set of activity ideas I want to have a look at is loose parts. Loose parts activities can be done with craft items such as pom-poms and straws, or items that you might have around the house such as buttons, pasta, elastic bands, stickers and Christmas decorations. They can also use natural objects found by the children, so the pine cones. My conkers have gone away, but they have been out for a long time, and I've been using those as a loose part. They could be something to keep at the end, like the bracelet shown in the picture, or the spotted tree. But equally, they could be something that's done, added to over a period of time, or repeated. And again, if you wanted to take a photograph of the child's creation, then you can. The idea is that it doesn't matter how it turns out, and there doesn't necessarily have to be an end point to the activity. You can think about the vocabulary you want to introduce before the activity to fit in with the children's interests and developmental next steps. And this might be mathematical language or the names of objects. And lots of talk will be promoted if you just chat with the child about what they're doing and what they hope for. There'll be lots of opportunities for counting or making patterns, as well as the children developing their fine motor skills by using tools such as scissors or tweezers, or even just their fingers. And some other ideas for loose parts play might include a Christmas basket of themed objects, so Christmas decorations, baubles, those silicone Christmas moulds, some crinkly wrapping paper, that sort of thing. A bowl of baubles and bells, a tin of sparkly pipe cleaners, or wrapping paper and boxes for the children to wrap up. The next set of activity ideas is Christmas cards. And as I said earlier, everybody wants to make a Christmas card to send home. And this does become a bit more of a production line rather than focusing on the process. The children, however, can be involved in going for a walk to collect ferns or fir branches as a basis for a Christmas tree, either by sticking them on, hammering to create an image, or painting to print them. And then they could be offered a range of decorative items and choose which they want to use and exactly where to put them. And that way it becomes a no right or wrong kind of activity. And then another alternative would be to take a photo of one of their loose parts creations and to print this and stick that out, stick this on their card, and then that actually becomes their card to take home. Singing is really important, and I love singing all year round, but it's really nice at Christmas to have some simple Christmas songs. And learning new Christmas songs and rhymes in the early years isn't just festive fun, but it's a powerful learning opportunity. There are lots of simple nursery rhymes that can be changed for Christmas themes, such as the one shown on the screen, or singing something like Five Little Elves Went Out to Play instead of Five Little Elephants, or I'm a Little Snowman instead of I'm a Little Teapot. And actually, you can make up the words with the children if you wanted to. And singing is really important because of these 7 things up on the screen. It boosts language and communication. Songs are packed with new vocabulary, rhythms and sounds, and repetition helps children remember the words and sentence patterns. And rhyme supports phonological awareness, and that's an early block for reading. It supports memory and listening skills. Remembering the lyrics and actions strengthens recall. Children learn to follow sequences and they take turns and they listen carefully. Number 3, it builds their confidence. And singing together helps even the quieter children to join in. It strengthens social connection because group singing creates a feeling of togetherness and belonging. Shared traditions help children understand celebrations and community. It enhances physical development. Action rhymes support coordination, motor skills and body awareness, and keeping the beat helps them develop rhythm and control. It develops understanding of the world. Christmas songs and rhymes introduce cultural traditions and celebrations, and sometimes they have some stories of Christmas in them, don't they? They open conversations about families, beliefs and diversity in an age-appropriate way. And lastly, they support emotional well-being. Music lifts the mood, it reduces anxiety, and it creates joyful moments. Familiar songs can be soothing and comforting during a busy season. And they say, don't they, that a singing child is a happy child. So it's really lovely to hear the children singing Christmas songs as they're playing. And it's also lovely to use Christmas music for other activities. So, for example, you could put on some Christmas music and the children can paint to it or draw to it. And there's lots of different music out there, and you can choose one with a certain beat, whether that's a firm beat for them to do lots of firm mark making, or something that's quiet and gentle and might calm them down. And then there's also there's lots of dough disco songs where you can combine the dough and the music through that. So activity ideas for babies and young children. I think we don't want to leave them out, do we? And if you have really young babies, I've got a 4-month-old at the moment, and so I've been racking my brains. What can that child do? And I know that their parent will love something to receive as a keepsake as well. But also, I want them to be able to be involved in the loose parts and Christmas play too. And we know that babies and young children learn best when they're allowed to discover new experiences in their own way. So to make their Christmas extra special, you can put together a treasure basket or a sensory treats especially for them. And I'm sure most of you know, but a treasure basket is simply a collection of items brought together, either in a shallow basket or gathered within easy reach, for the child to explore in their own way. And this helps them to learn about the properties of the different items using all their senses, and develops their imagination, their concentration, their hand-eye coordination, and their motor skills, as well as awareness of the world around them along the way. You'll obviously know what your baby is like and what they put in their mouths, and so you would know what to put in there. And obviously these collections should be used under close supervision. Let your baby choose what interests them and how to examine and play with it as much as their age and stage of development allows. For babies who are able to reach and grasp things for themselves, try not to interrupt the process too much. Just be there to support the child and share in their discoveries. If your baby's younger, you may need to begin by introducing an item at a time to them, talking about what it looks like, feels like, sounds or smells like, as appropriate, and then let them explore one item in their own way. And items that you could include could be a a large Christmas bow, some pine cones, some jingly bells, an orange, baubles, tinsel, and coloured lights. So now I'd like to come over to you. I'd like to know what your ideas and traditions are. And if you brought an idea along and are happy to share it by showing it or talking about it, then that would be lovely. Is there anybody who'd be happy to do that? Oh, thank you, Samantha. I can see you turning your screen on.
We have Advent books. So instead of an Advent calendar, I wrap all the books up and they take it in turns to open a book a day. And then we read them. We read them throughout the whole of December. But they all get a turn to open one.
That's a really lovely idea, isn't it? Because stories are so important, and that is something I didn't include in this. But yeah, something I do is having lots of stories. So do you wrap the same books every year, or do you?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
because it
I
doesn't
wrap them
matter,
up.
does it?
Well, I wrap them up in January after we put them away because we leave them out a bit after Christmas as well. So it is
Yeah.
a genuine surprise to me as well when they come out in December. I don't know which ones they're going to open and they
Yeah.
genuinely pick. And my two oldest, who are 3.5 now, remember it from last year, which is really nice.
So they're
Because I
excited.
wasn't sure if they would with so many things happening, but obviously it was quite important to them. So that made me feel like it's quite lovely.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really nice, isn't it, to have special books that are just for Christmas that you get out again, because it does build on those children will have learnt something and remembered something from last year, and it will be something to build on this year.
Yeah,
That's a lovely idea.
thank you.
Anybody else? I actually got a different advent calendar this year for the children, and I don't know whether you've ever come across the Usborne magic painting books, but they did an advent calendar one, and it was reduced to £5 for 24 little books. And I just thought, oh, that's exciting. I'll like use it this year, and then maybe I can swap the books around next year for the ones that haven't been opened on the weekend, and then be able to use it again, because I can't imagine they're actually going to want to do the magic painting every day. But I don't know. We'll see. Before we move on, is there anybody that's brave enough to share an idea? No. Okay, then we will move on. So, in the objectives, we mentioned about keeping Christmas calm and having a slower approach to the festive season. Don't forget, you are part of their children's Christmas memories, whether that's having those Advent books or something else that becomes a tradition in your setting. The children do remember it. And don't be too quick to tidy Christmas away. Like Samantha says, she keeps those books out until January, and I think that's really nice, to keep some of the Christmas activities. Obviously, the children don't experience the actual Christmas day until Christmas Day itself, so then they can bring that back into the setting in the period after Christmas. Don't forget, you can slow down too. So for young children, the lead up to Christmas can seem endless. Recognise the season, not just a big day. Rather than overwhelming everything that the children are used to, add small invitations or provocations to introduce and explore the idea of Christmas, and try and keep the environment familiar and the routines the same. Sometimes that's really hard, isn't it? And we just get all excited, but if we keep those basic routines the same of the day, then that's really going to help the children to keep grounded. Many young children might not remember last Christmas. The idea of Father Christmas or Santa might be unsettling for some children. And then we all have our own family traditions at Christmas, but we are a big part of the Christmas for the children that we care for. So involve them in your traditions and create new ones for your minded children. And that might be decorating a tree, reading favourite festive stories, having particular festive foods. For very young children, the idea of Christmas is hard to grasp. And like all the experiences that they, and sorry, like all experiences, they often want to relive it and make sense of it. So leave a handful of Christmas resources out in the new year. Some wrapping paper or books, for example. There you go, just like Samantha said. So you and the children can recall Christmas together. And working with young children is rewarding, but also hard work. Having confidence to step away from the conveyor belt of Christmas means that the festive season can be enjoyable for you too. And it's often the time, isn't it, when we are so busy, we end up getting run down and poorly ourselves over Christmas if we've got any time off. And we don't want that. So sit back, observe, read, and snuggle. It's a magical time of year, and you're part of that magic for the lucky children in your setting. So, reflections. I'd like you to have a think about what you're going to take away from this session. What are you going to keep doing? What are you going to start doing? There might be something that you haven't done before, and you might just want to jot down an idea of something that you're going to try. Is there anything you're going to stop doing? There might not be. You might be perfectly happy with the way that you organise Christmas, but there might have been something in here that you just thought, actually, I might change that. I might try and do it a bit different. Is there anything you're going to do more of, or anything you're going to do less of? So if you've got a pen near to you, take a moment just to jot down a few of those things. You don't have to share with them unless you particularly want to, but then you can add those to your professional development file and it will show what you've taken away from this session. Okay. So it's now the opportunity to tell you what we've got coming up at the Hub. We have got conferences that are available to all practitioners on the 6th of February and the 18th of March. These are in-person events, and details of these are on the link tree and on our social media pages. And if you live in the Hub area, then you will have hopefully received the newsletter, which has all the details of those. Or if you haven't, you will be soon. We are offering bespoke one-to-one support sessions. So, I can see Abby's very kindly put the link tree into the chat. Thank you. Yes, so we are offering bespoke one-to-one support sessions. These can be arranged at a time that's convenient for you to have a chat about anything that's niggling you, or you'd like more information on. It can cover things like the curriculum and planning, child development, outdoor learning, your indoor environment, managing your workload, the relationships with parents, growing your business, etc., etc. Most things can be covered. The only things that can't really be covered are safeguarding and funding. They're really friendly and are confidential sessions, and they will be completely non-judgmental. So I'm available for Childminders, but there are also other practitioners, Kate, Mary and Emma, if you'd prefer somebody from a different setting. And if you would like one of these, because it can be arranged at a time that's mutually convenient to you, then you can follow the link on the link tree to book one. Lastly, is very exciting, and you are amongst the first to know, as we're in the process of planning a Saturday conference for Childminders. This will be at Derby College on Saturday, the 28th of February, and we are really lucky to have secured the amazing Alice Sharp, and she's coming to speak on this on using malleable materials in your setting. And then I'm going to be running a workshop on using literacy in the indoor setting. So it's going to be a very practical workshop with lots of things to try and play with. And then Kate's going to be doing a session on the outdoors, an outdoor learning environment, and how you can use it to do maths. And Abby says we'll be in touch nearer the time with further details, but I just wanted to give you a save the date. So that's the end of the session tonight. If anybody has got any questions or wanted to say anything more, then either please feel free to open up your camera or you can pop it into chat. And Abby and I will be here for a few more minutes. But if not, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your evening and your Christmas.